to play it safe. There's nothing wrong with it. Even with you can still become a rich person, and there are ways that you can do it. Now, there's what we call the risk-reward concept. Is that some of you are conservative, very conservative. So with people like you, you're going to stick with treasury bills, you're going to stick with bonds. So the major difference between treasury bill and bond is that treasury bill is within 1 year. We have the 91 days, the 182, the 365, and the bonds are 1 year and above. That's the main difference there. Some of you are also moderately conservative. So you can do treasury bill and still want to do a bit of fixed deposit, okay? Moderately aggressive, and some of you are very aggressive. So you are the likes who would want to do the men's gold and the bitcoins and the blockchains. There's nothing wrong with it if you do your calculated risk very well, except that you don't invest in places. And this one I'm going to show you. So here is where, if you don't remember anything today, remember these two words here called time horizon. So if you see I'm on the risk preference, if you forget everything, don't forget this too. In investment, two things are important: what we call the frame, the time frame or the time horizon, and what we call the bankroll. So the time frame or the time horizon is actually for how long would your money be kept invested. How long? The bankroll is how much of that money are you willing to lose. If that money, something goes wrong, you don't mind, or how long would you want it to be kept there for you? So let me give you an example. If you are going over here, if you are someone who, like I explained to you, based on your risk appetite and everything, the higher the risk, the higher the return. It's a simple risk and reward thing. Most of you are aware. The lower the risk, the lower the return. So at the base of our investments, we have these bonds, debt, money market, capital market, CDs, note bills, cash and cash equivalents. These have very low risk. Even some financial gurus and even economists are trying to tell you that treasury bills and bonds have zero risk because of the sovereign country borrowing from its citizens and all that. Now, at the middle here, we have real estate. And real estate is classified middle risk because sometimes we all know what we call goodwill. You might build in a nice house in some bad place and you may not get the revenue. And also sometimes flood and other risks can be involved here and there. Equity and mutual funds, so for example, like the EPAC and M Fund with Data Bank and the rest, large, small cap stocks, high income bonds and debts, all of these ones have this. Then we have the options, the futures and collectibles. Now these are the ones where sometimes some people want to even equate it to betting and stuff, because it looks like you are gambling with the future. You are predicting how some of these things are going to turn out, and that is where you see people trading and stuff. But this is not betting. In betting, there is no value you are given. In betting, there is no value there. You are predicting something and waiting for the odds to turn in your favor. In trading, there is a real business behind it. There's a real company behind it. There is a real currency behind it. There is a real value behind it. And based on the market trends, you are able to predict that it will fall. For that reason, you sell your high assets now so that when it falls, you gain. And when it falls, you buy them. And when it rises, you gain. And that is how come at this level, it is very, very high. So now, if you have a high risk appetite, then what happens here is that you are someone that would, if you lose certain money, you don't mind. But then back to this presentation to show you this thing quickly, is that you need to understand that in every investment, the ones that are at the apex, you should put in monies that if you lose, you don't have a problem. So one investment advice I give, and this is from Warren Buffett himself, never invest in anything you do not understand. So if people come to you with Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and you don't understand, don't invest in it. However, if you have high risk appetite and you want to invest because the returns are high, then have that time to learn about what Bitcoin is, what cryptocurrency is, and have that time to understand it and invest the money that if you lose, it wouldn't cause you a problem. So the time frame should be, for example, let's assume you want to invest into someone's business. There's something we call debt, equity, and quasi-equity. So if you think that you cannot lock up your money with someone who needs 100,000, you can give it to him. You give him the 100,000, but you know that money, you need it back in 1 year, for example. In that case, you can't do equity with him, which means your money is locked up in the business as a capital with him. You can't do that. So in that case, you do debt with him, where you put repayment so that by 1 year he pays you off. Preferably, because you need it in 1 year, you can even do 10 months or 9 months and have a moratorium in case there is any problem with it. So the time frame is that you need to determine how long do you need it. So in my book, there's something I call wealth velocity. If I need my money in 3 months, okay, and I have an investment for 1 month, I can turn my money twice. So first month I get it, then I turn it back again. In the third month, I have to get it back where I need it. So that's a time frame. So some people don't do this analysis before they put their monies. That's how come some people have problems in businesses, because they don't know when they have to do debt. They don't know when they have to do equity. They don't know when they have to do quasi equity. They don't know when they have to do 91 days. You need to. So that's a time frame. The time frame you determine when you need that money. Robert Kiyosaki in his book made something clear. You need to learn to create a system that generates money for you. So the third component is spending. The first step is to learn to identify and differentiate between needs and wants. And this one, I'm sure most of us are aware of it as the basic concept of controlling spending. Then learn to plan and track your spending. So instead of asking yourself where your 1 cedi went to, where your 2 cedi went to, you will rather tell your 2 cedi where they should go, because you have budgeted and planned for it. Essentially, knowing where your money comes from is as equally as important as knowing where your money goes. So some of us know where money comes from our job, from our business, from this and from that. But it's as if we spend based on what just comes our way. And that is the reason why some of us cannot say no to certain events, certain programs, certain spending. Because so most people think they are not good at earning money. But what they do not know is how to use it. First and foremost, for most of us listening to you have to review your current financial situation. Review it honestly. See how you spend, where your monies are going. Then you have to now put your financial goals. What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to be? Now prioritize them step by step. This is the most important one. I want to have my PhD, that's important. I want to have my master's, that's important. I want to do this professional course. I want to get this house. I want to do this. Put them in that order. Then put up a budget, evaluate it. If you have an active income, let's assume that you're taking 10,000 Ghana. So you're taking 10,000 Ghana cedis. What I'm telling you is that do your possible best to spend 40 to 60% of your salary, maximum 60% of your salary. The reason this thing is mathematically and even scientifically proven is that every bank in Ghana is working with a gearing ratio of maximum of 50% of your salary. Most of them do 40% and 45%. What it means is that if the bank is deducting 40 to 50% of your salary, the bank has, per Bank of Ghana credit policy, then it is actually possible for you to live on 50%. And if you are here and you borrowed before, like I have done before, then you know that it's sometimes difficult, but when you take a loan, you are still able to manage within that 60%, 50% of your salary. So it means that we trying to spend no more than 60% is possible. Now, this is the part where people miss, and this one, I'll talk about it lastly, is what we call the wealth protection. Many people are missing the point that the money that we earn, even before you do anything with it, you spend this. So this 60% are expenditure that you cannot do anything about. The moment you are done with that, you need to do wealth protection. And I call this the 3 Ds of life. You need to have a plan for your dependents. God forbid, anything can happen. In Ghana, we don't talk about insurance because it's like a bad omen planning for your death or your mishap or misfortune or whatever. So please, you need to plan in case you are not there, your dependents. So I'm telling you, use 5%. Get one for yourself and for your dependents. Get a health. Those of you who are employed in institutions, you have good health policies, good for you. Those who don't, make sure you have one. Damages. Our cars, if you have money to buy a car, please, no matter how expensive it is, go for comprehensive insurance. Make sure that you insure your home. Please, your home does not necessarily have to be your own house. Home insurance is cheaper than car insurance because the risk on car is high. Then we come into wealth accumulation. So like I explained to you about the buffer contingency and all that, you do that one like I explained. Then you move on to accumulation, where you now begin to accumulate wealth for it. I'm going to show it quickly to you. Then the acceleration. Then you use some to move into other businesses. Unfortunately, today I'm not talking about wealth creation, which is one of the main pillars of my book. Time wouldn't permit because of, and then you start earning some passive income, and then you can retire earlier than you plan for those doing 8 to 5 job because you have enough money and you can focus on your passion. And those of you who are in your own businesses can now also recruit very good people and put in monitoring and stuff there, and you can also do. So lastly, the focus of wealth management is to acquire assets for personal use and enjoyment, which are well structured, protected, and funded. Its main purpose is to protect wealth. So first, you want to stay rich. That is very important. Enhance wealth. So the moment your income, your earning flow stops, you're actually poorer. You need to have a constant flow. That is the reason why, as much as possible, you do all your best to make sure that you do not have a cut in your flow. That's how come I give you the example that in case you even lose your salary, for those who are salaried workers, you still would have other things going for you. So how you enhance it and how you're going to enjoy it. So it's a comprehensive approach that you'll be having. So most people have had this problem for a long while. Many people, when it comes to borrowing and stuff, people think that borrowing money is bad. Please, I'm saying this on record. Debt is not a bad thing. It's actually one of the key accelerators of wealth. Any man, who actually borrows is not a bad thing. The only problem that makes debt bad or good is the purpose of the debt. So if you borrow money and you put it into something that does not bring you any return, instead of an income generating asset, then your debt is a problem. You don't have to do everything by yourself. But leveraging is one of the number one catalysts and accelerators in wealth. So you don't have to do everything by yourself. You can use other people's money by coming up with a very good idea and then pitching your idea to people. You can leverage on other people's time, learn how to. So leveraging is not using or abusing people. There's a difference with that. You can use other people's work, other people's experiences. So wealth protection is also a very key one because we have to learn how to preserve it, how to conserve, and then that's it. I have already populated it. I wanted to do it step by step. So let's assume that anybody here who maybe you are 19 years, I just did one example. 19 years up to 39, so 20 years. So if you are 40 and you are listening to me, let's assume 40, yours is up to 60, you are 35 up to 55. Treasury bill now, I'm going for those of you with the safest form of investment. If you can save 1,000 Ghana cedis a month, 1,000 Ghana cedis, a month, then what it actually means, so there's a formula here, 1,000 Ghana cedis a month, so for the year you have 12,000. What it means is that you are earning 1,450 as interest for year one. You were starting, you didn't have anything. So end of first year, you have 12,000. You put it into an investment, this is the interest that you make. So for year two, which is when you are 20 years, so somebody who is 19 years listening, the person will start with 13,440. Then you are still pumping in another 1,000. You earn the interest and so on and so forth. In 20 years, you'll be a millionaire at 12%. Current one. Now, if you are going to the EDCs and the stuff who can give even 15 and 18%, so let me put in 18% here. If I put in 18%, then it simply means, you see, have you seen its change? So then you've cut 5 years down. So within 15 years, you actually can become a millionaire. Now, for those of you who are even business people, where in Ghana you can make even 50% per annum, okay? Because I work with a lot of business people, and most of them can end up making 50% even in 3 months of their. Then you see what is happening here. Let me even, where's the 1 million? Yeah. Then you are going to use less than 10 years, 8 years to make $1 million. If we do, so 300 will take the person 30 years. Even at 300. So that means that if you have someone earning 1,000 Ghana cedis and the person is willing to do 300 cedis at 12%, and 12% is realistic, in 30 years, this person can make $1 million. And please, these things I'm putting here, I have done myself. This is something I've put people on. For 5 years, 10 years, I'm still on it. And this thing is practical. I even assume after the first 20 years, the person does not pay anything. You've seen it down here. It still will go on and on and on. End here and then